I kind of bounced back and forth and tried a few things. I worked in residence life for a while. I also got to do Greek life and student activities, and some orientation things. But my ultimate goal was to really get into career development, because I felt that it was a really great way to interact with all constituencies. We're one of the offices that I don't just serve students. I serve alumni. I serve sometimes even faculty and staff on campus come with questions, and even prospective students and their families. So it's a really great way to kind of get to interact with a lot more groups surrounding the campus. And it's a really positive interaction with students, which is one of the things that I just loved about it. Helping students figure out how to get from freshman year, here are my interests, to that first career and beyond, and helping students fit those pieces together is really just a positive and exciting opportunity. So I love it. I love being in career development. I don't ever shut it off. My children aren't so thrilled with that, but they'll appreciate it eventually, right?
Yeah, exactly. They'll be very well prepared for the workforce when that time comes. I have great faith in that. So Mercyhurst has an enterprise, as I mentioned, went fully remote a few weeks back. So we went from, being next door or down the hall to all of our colleagues to, being miles apart in a realistic sense. Can you talk a little bit about how your team in career development has handled that adjustment?
We have. We just dove right in. We've already been doing remote, mostly with our alumni. So we've always offered phone appointments, lots of back and forth in email. So being able to add video chatting in was really the logical next step anyway, something that we were trying to figure out how we would want to do that. And even if we were on campus, sometimes we have students that are so booked throughout the day, or that are taking classes, and our parents. We also serve our Northeast campus, so a lot of those appointments are asked to be remote. So we were already doing some of these things, and so I think it was pretty easy for us to just step in and go remote, because we have very little paperwork that we have to get signatures on. Really, the only thing that we use like that is our internship learning agreement. And we've already, for students that were interning kind of far away from Mercyhurst, we were already kind of virtually filling those out and working with employers that they maybe couldn't get a signature from until after they started. So a lot of our things kind of work well to a remote setting. So I don't think that it was as difficult as I think it could have been, and probably still is for some departments on campus.
Sure. Well, that's good. That's great to hear. So in your time at Mercyhurst, I think there's been a number of different changes, and I think some in terms of the platform and functionality available to students, and I'm sure there's other smaller things as well. But the thing that comes to mind for me is the adoption of Handshake. And maybe could you tell us a little bit about that platform? It's something that our alums may have seen here and there, and prospective students might help to have a little bit of background.
I hope our alums have seen Handshake. So Handshake is a job posting platform similar to other ones that we may have used in the past. But what makes Handshake so different is it's really created more with the students and the employers in mind. I think the biggest difference that employers love is that it's one platform. So an employer creates an account in Handshake and chooses to connect to whatever of the over 700 colleges and universities using the system that they want to connect with. And we can reach out and ask to connect to them, but they only have to create that one profile, and they only have to post those jobs once. And then every college that they're connected to automatically will see that, which is a game changer for employers, because a lot of the other systems that they've been using, every school they want to recruit to, they have to create a different account, and then they have to go in and post all of those jobs at each individual school's account, even if it's the same platform. So that really changes the game for employers, which I don't want any more barriers between employers connecting with our students and alumni than we absolutely need. So that was kind of a real highlight for why I was interested in this system. The other thing is that it's very user-friendly for students. It looks like a social media account. If alumni pop onto it and create an account, you'll see you have that kind of online resume, very, very similar to what your LinkedIn would look like. And what is really great about it, and any prospective students and their families watching this, pay attention, this is super important. The earlier you are on it, the better, because it sets up an algorithm. So it learns what the student is interested in. So the more you interact with it, the more you look at company profiles, the more that you reach out to employers. There's a chat feature that they can talk to employers. The more jobs and internships and even part-time jobs that students look at, it's learning all of those things, so that when you come into your senior year and you're ready to do that first full-time job search, it's going to automatically populate jobs that it thinks that you're interested in. And if you've been using it for 4 years, it's going to be really good at knowing what you're interested in, which is going to shave off a lot of time on the job search. Because I think one of the hardest things about getting started for a senior for that job search is figuring out, like, how do I find what I'm actually looking for? And all you do is log into Handshake and it's going to be right there. So that was a real key selling feature too. But they're constantly listening to us and adapting and adding features, which is really exciting. Students are also enjoying that you can kind of critique your experience with an employer. So students can post that they had a really amazing internship, you have to go to this company. Or they can say, I had a really bad experience with the recruiter, beware. And you can then see how the employer responds to those comments. So that's one of the newer features that I think is really going to help students learn more about a company, and not even, and I'm saying this about everything related to COVID as well, how they respond to things is something that I think our students pay a lot of attention to. And Handshake has kind of set that up as something that is ingrained into their system, which is pretty exciting, I think. And those are just some of the highlights. It also, we run our job fairs through it. We run workshops, so you can always see what events we have coming up. But employers also run events through that system. So anytime an employer posts an event, we approve it so that our students and our alumni can see that company is doing a virtual open house or has an open interview day where you just sign up for a time slot. So it's a really great way to get interaction between candidates and employers.
Well,
They're really trying to make it easy for us.
That's good. I'll probably repeat this again before we're done, but on the Mercyhurst website, if you go to mercyhurst.edu/alumni for our alums out there, you can click on the benefits link, and it lists all kinds of really cool benefits that our alumni are entitled to. And one of those benefits is the Career Development Center. And so you can click on that link. You can learn more about Handshake and some other offerings from the Career Development Center. We're constantly trying to push that out there for our young grads and maybe our not so young grads who might be interested in a new position, career change, those different types of things. So we'll probably mention that again before we're done. So I think it's an understatement to say the employment industry probably has changed a bit in the last 2 months. Just today there's more somewhat depressing news about the state of the economy and all those different types of things. Can you maybe give a reflection or two about kind of how things seem to fit from the career development side, things you're kind of monitoring or following?
Yes, absolutely. So like everything else, it changes daily sometimes. So I'm going to throw some numbers out there. If you're watching this a week from now, it'll be outdated. Ask me again, hopefully in a positive way. But what we heard in the last couple of weeks is that about 54% of employers are reporting that they're in a holding pattern for hiring. Not that they're not, but that they kind of have to wait and see, like, how can this progress? But in the meantime, what they're doing is a lot are increasing their online presence through some form of digital engagement. Handshake system last week alone saw over 1 million communication interactions between candidates and employers. So whether that be emails through the system or some sort of connection through like the employer's page, and both ways, employers reaching out to candidates and vice versa. So the positive news is that things are starting to move. We are seeing that students are, they've been really focused on school. It's the end of the semester and getting used to this online experience that they weren't planning on. Career development nationally has not really been something that people have been, or students have been utilizing, because there's so many other things right now, right? We're seeing that change. So students are starting to say, yes, we're going to get on Handshake and start our job searches now. We're wanting to reach out to our career centers. We're wanting our career centers to help us connect with employers. So what is normally like March and April is usually my busiest time of the year, and it wasn't, and that felt wrong. It just, we participate in consortium job fairs. We have an on-campus job fair that we had to cancel. So it was just very strange to not have the bustle that I'm used to, or that our team is used to. I think it's coming in the next couple of weeks. So we're kind of gearing up and anticipating that we're going to be super busy here pretty quick, which is great because we're ready. We want to be busy. So because we're seeing some of these numbers change, I don't think that 54% of employers in a holding pattern is something that's going to last for very long. I think things are going to start moving. We're also getting reports that 61% of seniors are interested in gig work or remote project-based work, which is a really great thing to do if you feel like your job search is going to be delayed or stalled a little bit. Look for those project-based things where you can be working and doing something in the meantime while your search continues. We're getting weekly updates. Handshake is sending out information. They're reaching out and polling the employers that use the system regularly. So is NACE. NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. So that's kind of our professional organization that connects company recruiters with career services professionals at the university level. They are weekly sending out surveys to both university partners and employers to try to see what are we seeing on the campuses, what are we being told about things, but also what are employers experiencing. Some fields are so busy right now, they aren't necessarily expecting that and are trying to adjust their preparations for that. Other industries have come to a very slow or almost complete halt. Neither of those are going to be long-term things. So definitely keep up to, keep reading, keep like NACE, and it's NACE Web is their website. So that's a really great place that anybody can kind of look and see what they're researching and what they're looking at. But both of those groups are two regular weekly updates that we're getting to kind of keep us prepared and ready and knowing, okay, students maybe in this field are going to need to kind of get help now. Maybe we should reach out to them in some way where maybe there's another field that's going to be a few more weeks before it opens back up. So we're trying to use that information in real time as we get it to kind of decide, we're going to start a webinar series in another week or so. What should we do? What topics should we cover and when, based on what we're seeing? So, lots of fluid, which is sometimes cool and sometimes frustrating, but the important thing is that we are getting lots of information, we're keeping up on it, and we're using that to inform our decisions for who we're targeting and reaching out to help. We're helping anybody who wants our help at any time. But when we see that a specific industry is about to open back up, we're going to reach out to those students and make sure that they know that.
That's wonderful. So you might have alluded to it just a little bit there before, but our students are in their last week of classes this week. They take finals next week, and then over 500 seniors will find themselves on the job market suddenly.
Yep.
Do you have any simple advice to give to that group of people who are entering a very interesting market compared with years past?
Yeah, slow and steady. Keep plugging away at it. And what we're hearing from employers, they know that there's going to be a weird gap. They're expecting that because they're all in the same boat. Use that time wisely. That is the best advice. So if you can, follow professional organizations in your field and use that downtime to read as much as you can to learn about how they're dealing with the industry. What are some new issues that are coming up as a result of this? Any information like that you can generate for yourself is going to help you on an interview, and it's going to help you as a professional. Don't be afraid to get a temporary position or to work what you would have thought was a summer job while you're doing your job search. They're wanting to see what you're doing with this time. And, I think that's always the case. But now I think it's just more widely going to be discussed, be strategic. The other thing is, interviewing is going to go online for a while. And some companies have already been doing it, but I think more are going to have to. So they're going to be in a situation kind of like we are right now, where this is your interview and how do you handle that? And so definitely reach out to my team, because we can do practice interviews in this realm with students and alumni, because it is different. It feels different, and we can help walk you through what it's like. Make sure your technology works. Make sure you understand how to get on, and you can see those nervous tics that you might have that you don't recognize that you do. We can help you do that and help you best prepare for that kind of online. I just knocked my computer sideways. Sorry, guys. That online interview, and even spending some time talking about how is this online interview going to benefit you? What advantage is this going to give you? And where is this going to be something that maybe, is this going to cause more nerves for you? Is this going to be more difficult for you? And how can we help you adapt to that situation? So definitely take advantage of some one-on-one time with my team, so that you can best prepare for what might not have been something that you were expecting to have to deal with.
Wonderful. So we've talked a little bit about Handshake, which we again say is available for our alums, and you just mentioned kind of some one-on-one counseling via virtual meetings, whatever. Are there any other offerings that you'd suggest our alums reach out and take advantage of if they're in the market for a new career?
Yes. Let's chat, because the more we know, the more we can help. And it goes for alumni, it goes for students. We're not a one and done. And a lot of times people think of career services as, well, they help me get my internship, or they fill out the internship paperwork, or they're just there to get my resume done. we're calling it career development for a reason. Nationally is the trend that it's no longer career services, it's career development, because we're not just here for that one-time need. I mean, of course we're here for that one-time need, but there's a lot more to it than that. One of the things that we're seeing is that students are really nervous about, okay, I'm here, and because of COVID, I don't know how to get here. And so having one-on-one conversations with a career counselor regularly, we can help you learn how to job craft and how can you learn your transferable skills and market them to an employer who may seem out of field for you. But the more you interact with us and the better we know you, when that job comes across our plate and we see, okay, look at this new position that was just posted on Handshake, instead of me just saying, okay, yes, post it, I'm going to say, I know 3 people that this would be perfect for because I've been having these regular conversations with them. And I know that this is not only what they're looking for, but it's where they're looking for it. So I'm going to not just post that, but I'm going to make sure that you see it. I can't do that if I don't know what you're looking for and what your career goals are. So, that's really one of the more, I think, important benefits is how personalized we can get. The more we know about you, the more you work with us, the better we're going to be at helping you. So I think that's super important to think about, is that, yes, of course, we're here for that one resume review. And if we don't hear from you in a couple of years, we'll assume that we helped you well. But there can be more to it, and we see it a lot with some students, but we're also seeing, maybe some mid-career level alumni who are like, I just don't have the heart for this anymore. This is not where my passions continue to lie. And I don't know what to do now. I've always thought of the career development field as, you can lead a horse to, or you can teach somebody to fish and they'll be able to fish for a lifetime, or you can feed them a fish and they eat once, right? So we're trying to teach you to fish. We can help you give all of these, develop all of these skills so that, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you decide, what, I'm done, I'm ready for something new, that you still have that skill set and you're still able to do the things that you need to do to find the jobs and craft your resume or update your resume. But of course, we're still here to help you do those things and to help guide you through those things and how maybe the market has changed or the processes have changed since the last time. But we also want you to feel like you know what you're doing and can do it.
Wonderful. Friendly reminder for all our attendees out there, if you have a question, feel free to drop that into the chat and we'll be happy to try and cover that during our talk or afterwards if we don't get it in time. Heather, one of my favorite campus traditions is the career fair, which I always joke is the day where the students trade the sweatpants for the suits. And you, yes, even if you didn't know it was happening, you would know it is just because of the number of nice looking young men and women who are wandering around campus in a tie and in shoes that they probably haven't worn before and all those different types of things. Obviously that career fair is normally in March, early April, and was canceled this year. Are there virtual career fair type events that our students and alums can participate in?
There are. We're not doing like a virtual career fair. I've heard mixed thoughts on that from the employers. Some think any interaction is great, and others think that it just isn't a very good way for them to meet candidates. So there are some. I know there's a virtual career fair specifically for people wanting to work in the education field, not just teachers, but anybody wanting to work in that K-12 environment. There's a national career fair coming up. I think it's in June, but I can definitely get that if anybody's interested in that. So there are some virtual things, but we're also seeing virtual open houses that the employers are hosting just on their own. And we do have employers. This last week, we started hearing, okay, we have opportunities, we want to share them. How can we do that? So that has picked up for us. And, virtual open houses or like us setting up a virtual session where students and alumni can hop on and learn about what the company has to offer is something that we're offering up to employers. So I'm hoping that we will have some things on the schedule soon. But if you go into Handshake, every time an employer even posts their own event, I'm going to approve that. So you'll be able to see that they're hosting their own, maybe their corporate office is hosting something. But those are kind of the big things we're seeing right now. We're also seeing employers offering their own kind of career counseling sessions. So here's what I'm looking for in a resume, and so there are going to be some workshop type things that you'll start seeing as well, that are led by employers. And I think that's kind of exciting. That's not always something that you see. So I'm hoping more that I would love to see us just completely overwhelmed by requests and by approvals in Handshake. So definitely things are starting to move finally. So,
well, that's good. Just a couple more quick questions. Do you think there's ways in which that our kind of career development, career search process will be changed permanently because of COVID-19?
I think it's possible. There are some industries where they make you videotape responses to like entry, like base questions. So before you get to the interview round, you have to record yourself answering these questions. I could see that expanding. I could see, there's maybe a lot of companies that weren't comfortable with the virtual interview. We want to bring them, it's just the tradition is to bring them to our site. That's what we want to do. And I'm hopeful that this will open that up a little bit. Not that a virtual video interview is the best of options. I prefer to be in person, but I think that might open up things. If you have an interest in moving somewhere else for your career, sometimes in the past it's been difficult because how do you get there for an interview? This opens that up because those companies that maybe didn't have that technology or weren't comfortable with it are kind of forced to be now. So I think that that's going to open up some of those opportunities. I think we're going to see industries change. I think retail is going to change. I think the way the healthcare fields determine what they need and how they prepare for the next time this happens may result in different jobs than what it would have 3 months ago. The hospitality industry most definitely is going to be affected, and it's probably going to change how things look there. Is it for good or for bad? I don't know that any of us know that. I would like to hope that it's for the better, that we'll find ways to have positive things come out of this, which, kind of reminds me, I don't know how many of you watch President Victor's Wednesday videos that he does for us, but today he talked about grit and our Sisters of Mercy having the grit to do the things that they need to do, even if it's not something that they were maybe supposed to do or comfortable with. And that really hit me because on one of the Handshake webinars that I was on last week, they talked about grit as well. And they said that this experience is going to cause us to have a generation of students and employees who are adaptable and who have grit. And that's exciting. That's really exciting. Because boy, can you talk about that on an interview. So I think there's going to be a lot of positive things. I think it's going to be different. But different doesn't have to be bad. And your career counselor can help you feel like it's not bad.
That's good. That's very well said. So we talked a little bit about our seniors early on. We also know we have sometimes some parents and some younger students that are tuning in. I think it's safe to say it's never too early to start getting engaged and involved with career development from your freshman year on. And then maybe also talk about the importance of getting an internship in the summer, maybe before your senior year.
Yes.
That building those multiple internships can be helpful, I assume.
Yes, absolutely. We actually function under a 4-year career plan or a 4-phase career plan. It's so much easier to do a few things each year that you're in college than to realize, oh, it's April of my senior year and it's finals week and I have to take the GRE, right? Because I didn't think of that. Planning ahead is great. And we're there as much as or as little as you need help, but we do have a document called our 4-year plan. And it's just a few things each year that you can focus on to be best prepared come your senior year. We will be doing a workshop online on that topic at least once, if not a couple of times over the next couple of months. So for students and alumni, you can register for that in Handshake. If we have any prospective students or families that want to get on that, just you can email me, or I don't know if you want them to just comment or email in the alumni office and they'll connect you to me. But we can get you on that webinar workshop as well, because it's so much less overwhelming if you do things a little bit here and there than to do everything all at once. Internships is a great example of that. There are some fields, like I'm thinking accounting. I've participated in a couple of consortiums where students get interviews and it's like an interview day. So it's not really a job fair, but an interview day, and students apply ahead of time and know what interviews they have before they even go to the event. And the students who get the most interviews every time I've participated have been the students that already had several internships on their resume before they applied for that internship. Not all fields are like that, but more experience is great. And even if it's not related to what you want to do, that's where we can talk to you about how to market those experiences so that an employer sees that it's related, even if it isn't obvious in first glance. But more than one internship, I think, is great. We have lots of students that come to us saying, I know my major, but I have a couple of different areas of interest within my major, and I'm not sure which I would want to do. Do an internship in both of them or all 3 of them, and it can be a shorter internship. It doesn't have to be a credit-bearing internship, every single time, although it can be. But it's a great way to test out something within the field that you're interested in before you graduate, accept a job, and relocate, and then have loans coming due. So it's good for that too. But being able to build your resume with experience through an internship is just wonderful. And it not only gives you experience and an understanding of what the field is, but it's also opening up a network of professionals in your field for you. You do a great job, you've got somebody who may not have a job to offer you, but who is willing to write a really great recommendation for you, or who is going to call their buddy who does have an opening and say, you're crazy if you don't hire this person. And, we have all these great resources online, but a lot of times, who does help. And so being able to take advantage of those kinds of relationships because of an internship is fantastic.
That's wonderful. And that leads into one of my last questions is, I'm sure I'm safe in assuming that our alums are encouraged and welcome to send you any job leads, internships. I think we just had one this past week where a graduate of 2005 sent in a great opportunity, and we were able to get that sent out. It's a wonderful resource, I assume, for your team to have those leads.
Yes, absolutely. We would love to see any and all. If you happen to be an alum who is allowed to recruit for your organization and you want to create a handshake account, or you want to work with the people in your company that have the handshake account, if you let me know what your company is and who I should be looking for, I can definitely approve those. We do have a vetting process, so we don't see every company that's on Handshake doesn't necessarily see our students' things. But if it's a company that we know we have an alum at, that we have a relationship with, we're going to approve those a little faster than our normal, having to research the company a little bit. So that's a great advantage. But you can also always send us things as well. We may not get them posted in that Handshake account, but like Intel, for example, has a listserv. So especially if it's something that's a short turnaround, we can blast it out in those listservs or in emails to students that we think are in the majors you're looking for, and let them know, and alumni as well. And a lot of those email blasts, like Intel has their own listserv, but we can create those lists and email students by major in Handshake. So when you send us those things, we can definitely get that information out there. If you're an alum that wants some of that information and that you think you might be job searching soon, definitely go to Handshake. You can actually just do mercyhurst.edu/handshake and create an account. And as soon as we see that you're an alum, we'll automatically approve you. Students should already have accounts created. I do a mass, like a batch upload of our student data every semester, or sometimes more than that. So you should already have an account, and I can help anybody who's having trouble getting in. But yes, let us know what jobs you have. Even, things that you think might be coming and you don't actually have a job posting, but you want to make sure that we know to look for them. That's great. Students don't always know companies, and brand building is a big part of getting students to know more about a company. So even something that helps us to recognize your company and alum that we can then share with students, those kinds of things are great.
That's wonderful. So my last question for our guest is always, what's your favorite part of Mercyhurst?
This one's hard. I think there's so many great things about Mercyhurst, but I am always kind of taken aback in such a great way about how we live our mission. Every college has a mission and vision statement. It's kind of the thing that we do, but this is the first institution that I've worked at where it's truly apparent that every decision we make is filtered through that mission. And that is really refreshing and really inspiring. And it just brings such a different feel to campus. Every school I've ever worked at, every school I've ever gone to has had really great things about them, but this mission-driven approach has united us in a way that I've never experienced. We're truly all in this together, and we're working together in the same direction. And it's just really, really wonderful to experience that.
That's really well said. And it probably has never been more true than it has the past 8 years.
No, not at all.
Transitioned in so many different ways, and so many people going far above and beyond the norm to, to help our students in this very unusual time. Well, Heather, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Again, Lindsay had pasted the link in the chat to go to mercyhurst.edu/alumni/benefits. You can learn about the Career Development Center there. You can also Google Mercyhurst Career Development Center. It'll come right up. So there's lots of resources out there, and we really hope that everyone takes advantage of those. You can always email us at alumni@mercyhurst.edu with questions, concerns, suggestions on future topics for speakers. We'd love to hear that feedback. Next week, we'll be joined by a couple of Mercyhurst students, which is a different wrinkle for us. Mitchell Marsh, who's a senior, and Marina Boyle, who is a junior, will be talking about their experiences as students during this very unique circumstance. Marina is also an international student, so she had the even more enjoyable experience of trying to get back home to her native Ireland during the unique times that the COVID situation has brought. So once again, we encourage you to come back next week and join us. Heather, thanks so much again for your time. We hope everyone out there is safe and sound, and wish you all a great day. Carpe diem.